I'm here with Grog from Fluid. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. You guys have been working on a new album that you're hoping to get out this year, correct?
That is correct, although it's a topic of huge debate around the world. um, because we've actually written a whole new album, and it's 18 tracks actually. And we're talking to some labels in the US because we haven't really yet received an official debut release in the US. Um, but they're interested in releasing a previous album. So we're kind of figuring out how we should go about all this. But I think it's definitely going to come out this year, but it may have to come out in the UK first. But everybody in the US seems to get our previous albums on import anyway. So in the end, I think everybody is going to be able to get their hands on it one way or another.
Yeah, we all have Amazon accounts. I know that's how I've got all my Fluid albums. So
Yeah. Amazon's pretty cool actually, kind of taking over from HMV and all those other stores.
now you guys have been at this for over a decade now, because your first EP it was released in 2001, correct?
That's true, yeah, and it seems crazy to me looking back that all that time has passed. Um, but I suppose we did take some kind of bits of time off. If you know the story of Daiso Fluids, we've kind of been pretty self-funded from the early days, and I did some session work with various people to raise the money to go into the studio. So that's actually involved some periods of time where we weren't doing anything. So it feels like a shorter time than that to me. It's kind of strange, but there you go.
Now I know when you first started off, you had talks with big labels, but you decided to go this basically through independent routes as your career went on. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's a really difficult topic because it's really important to us to keep our copyright and to keep complete creative control over what we do. But we've often run into problems with smaller labels because they're often not very well funded. They don't have, much of a line of credit to do projects like touring and what have you. So it's really difficult. And although I'm a great supporter of being independent and that the whole ethos behind that, sometimes it's really tough when a band like Dicey Fluid starts to grow because you want to keep expanding and reaching all the people are going to like the band, and you can end up getting a bit held back and not being able to keep control of all the different avenues that start to open up for you. So now we're at a stage where we're talking to some maybe major labels, different operations, and seeing what's possible for the new material. Because we just want to get everywhere that we have fans around the world, and I mean it just feels sometimes like each tour we do, we're just literally picking up a handful of new people each time, and we're just doing it on our own. I mean, there's a few people who have been brilliant. I mean, we've got an awesome team of people around us and good management and everything, but you just really need everything to pull in the same direction. And I think a lot of bands feel the same way, and it's difficult to just do that completely independent thing when the band grows. So yeah, we're welcome for people to contact us now with their amazing new plans. I mean, it's a climate now for people to think really creatively anyway. So that's what we want to do.
Now, are you worried about with big labels? A lot of time there's that restriction where they sign artists and then they kind of say, "Well, we like this song from you. We want you to do this kind of song," and they're kind of pushing away from anything that might not be popular in the mainstream. Are you worried about that with Diso Fluid? That if you get signed to a major label, that maybe your creativity might be hampered a bit?
We'll never sign with anyone who would try to do that with us. Um, Obviously, we're not going to just kind of say you can't be involved at all because, they want to be involved. But We want to maintain our control creatively, even if we do go with a major, that's for sure. I mean, I was in a band called Feline a while ago, and we were signed to EMI, and we suffered from that definitely in on that label, um, and they didn't kind of stick by the band either. That's that kind of old cliche of majors, like they say they're going to develop you, and then they just, if they don't see the money coming straight back in off the first single or the first album, then they just drop you. So you have to be careful, and that's why this time we'd never go with someone who we really didn't trust, and they have to sort of demonstrate that they're genuine believers, because they're going to have to look at what we've already achieved over 3 albums. So let's face it, they can't really kind of argue with what we've already done this far and say, oh no, do something completely different. Just that would just be insane. So, you know, I don't know, stranger things have happened though. But hopefully, we'll find the right people.
Now I want to talk a little bit about your album, Not Everybody Gets a Happy Ending.
Yeah.
That album was in the works for quite some time, and a lot of it had to do with funding. Can you kind of talk about that period in Fluid's timeline?
Yeah, if I can remember it. Because it feels like quite a long time ago now. Yeah, it was funded by Session Work, and it was a case of having to get studio time when it was available, and just kind of record in small blocks of time. So there was a bit of a worry that it might not have a flow to it, but actually it really, really did, and it all came together very well. But yeah, so that's why it took a while to complete.
You have basically like a high production value, like to all your videos that you put out. I mean, they basically mimic anything that's out there on high labels and everything. You guys really have a really certain high production values to all your recordings and everything.
Thank you.
How do you guys go about competing with the bands on major labels and getting this production values out, being like by yourself?
That's an interesting question. I mean, sometimes it's to our own detriment because people seem to think we have a lot more money than we do. And so we don't get those kind of breaks that actually we really need. Um, but I think, a lot of bands that I like, maybe they might be on a major label or whatever, but, and be hugely successful. But it isn't necessarily money that enables you to do something of quality. So I'd like to think that, the quality of what we do puts us on a par with all those other bands that you're talking about.
So for your new album, are
Yeah.
you guys shopping it around to major labels now? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, we're talking to a few labels. There's a label in New York, a couple of labels actually. Um, yeah, and we're just seeing what their ideas are, and who we feel good about, and what kind of deal we can get where we still feel confident that we'll be in control, as we were talking about before. Um, but yeah, it's an exciting time because I really, really want to get on the road in the US. It's been a couple of years at least since we did a tour here. The last one being with Mindless Self-Indulgence, which was really fun and really successful. And people still write to us from that tour and keep saying, well, when are you coming back? And I just kind of, it's getting embarrassing now because I keep saying, oh yeah, soon, soon we'll be back. And it's just dragging on. But we do intend to come back. And, America is massive and I live here now. So um, I feel strange that I'm not really operating, Daiso Food isn't really operating as a band here, so to speak. Um, I've been traveling a lot over to Europe and England to do tours and festivals and things, but we really need to get the ball rolling here. And I think that there's a huge audience for us out there. We just need to get out there and play to them. So, yeah, I can't wait for that all to come together. But these things sometimes, unfortunately, take time to iron out.
Now, you've been living here for a couple of years now, like you said,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
What fueled your decision to move from the UK into the US?
I fell in love. Yeah, it was a relationship. I went on tour with my ruin and struck up a friendship with the bass player at the time, and then yeah, we sort of stayed in contact for a while, and then the relationship grew, and I came out to visit, and then yeah, look where I am now, living in Hollywood, which is amazing. It's like kind of so surreal sometimes because I never imagined I would have ended up here at this time in my life. So it's pretty inspirational, and actually, it's given me a lot to think about and write about for the new album too. So it's cool.
Now, I've heard rumors that the new album is going to be a double CD. Are you willing
Yeah,
to
that's
say
what we
anything about
want to
that?
do. Yeah, well, there's 18 songs and it's all finished and ready to record. Um, and we want to do a double album. It's met with some resistance from management and labels and things, so I'm not sure what's going to happen at the moment. I mean, we'll probably just stick to our guns because you know what we're like. We would just be like, "Fuck you! We're just going to do it." It's just that because I think because people's attention spans are so short these days, and the way that music is put out so fast is a concern to some people because they're just like, well, you've written all these songs and you're just going to stick them all out in one go. And then everybody would just be like, so where's the next song? Like the following week. So I kind of understand that concern, but it doesn't stop us wanting to make, a great album that's got substance to it. We can play by our own rules. Um, but it's still at the stage where we're discussing it all. I mean, it's a very kind of democratic process, everything we do in the band. So, but yeah, all the material will see the light of day one way or another. Don't you worry. We set our goals very high, um, and I think part of that is you just have to take a deep breath and go for it. And yeah, all the money we make goes back into the band, and we are in a very lucky situation to have an investor who really believes in the band as well. In Finland, where our management is, he enables us to do tours and things which would be very difficult to do otherwise. Um, but it's the money that's invested in the band is money we owe, so it operates in a similar way to being on a major label, really. But it's different in that he has this ultimate belief in the band that we will be able to make all that money back if we elevate ourselves to a point where we can earn really great guarantees from playing live, for example. And I kind of feel like at the moment that's probably the future for bands to earn a living because it's very very hard from selling records.